What is up, guys? This is Dead Rockstar from Mod Informer, and today I'm reviewing Wilson Chronicles for Half-Life 2. Check out that intro! Wilson Chronicles is a source mod, which was greenlit and recently hit the Steam store January 14th of 2016.
Before we start the review, I want to take a second to remind everybody that this mod is in beta. However, I'm going to give it the same treatment as any other mod to make it a fair review. In development since 2008, in Wilson Chronicles you play as Major Darren Wilson, and your main objective is to kill everything. And by everything, I mean everything.
Going into this mod, I was expecting something like Black Mesa. I was expecting a heavily refined, super fleshed out, reinvigorated version of the Black Mesa compound. However, I was a bit disappointed. The first issue I have with the mod is its problem of misdirection. Typically with games, there's some sort of hint for where you have to go or where you have to go to next. This mod starts off on the wrong foot right away. Immediately, once you wake up in the beginning, what you actually have to do is grab your keys and go out the door. That's the first thing you have to do. There isn't any sort of direction, and the first time I fired up the mod, I just ran around trying to activate stuff because I had no clue what I was supposed to do. That's the one major problem I have with this mod. It happens throughout the whole game, and this mod was so close to a home run. I feel like that's the main thing that holds it back. Now, I'm not just going to sit here and point out the flaws. There's a few things I liked as well. I can tell the developers had an appreciation for art and classic muscle cars. Being a car fan myself, it was a nice touch, especially the beginning. The intro part where you're driving the car is pretty neat, and you don't really get to drive the car, but you can look around while it's being driven for you. As far as an intro goes, it's a nice break from the classic tram car intro we've been used to. And, by the way, what kind of a badass is Wilson? He drives with a 357 on the passenger seat? Are we playing a hero or a serial killer? Speaking of guns, the weapon design of this mod is one of my favorite parts. Each weapon from Half-Life has been recreated with a dash of uniqueness. They all feel and look really good. From the recoil animations to the sound design of all the weapons, they handle great. It might be a bad thing, but the weapons might save this mod from being bad. The gunplay is another one of my favorite parts of this mod. The firefights are kind of small, and they're fairly quick. However, being able to dispatch enemies with ease made me feel like a badass, especially at the firefight at the end of the mod. The maps offer a good variety of environments to go through. You'll find yourself in the offices of Black Mesa, going through some of the inner back workings and vent systems of the facility, as well as going topside for a while and then back down into the hazard course. And at the end, as I previously mentioned, the firefight at the end of the mod is sort of like a Matrix-inspired entryway, full of explosions and gunfire. Besides my feelings about player misdirection, the mapping is all done very nicely. There's plenty to explore that'll keep you searching for a while. Going off the beaten path is commonly rewarded with extra ammo, and if you keep your eyes open, there's usually explosives near most of the battles that will happen, providing you an opportunity to dispatch enemies with ease.
I also noticed the mod seemed buggy or even laggy at times. I remember a part in one of the later levels, my frame rate would literally drop from 60 into the 20s just by standing in a certain spot. In other words, the mod seems poorly optimized. In fact, the first load into the game took roughly a minute. I have a solid-state hard drive in my computer, and I know beggars can't be choosers, but a load time like that might be enough to turn some people away.
Don't get me wrong, I can tell there's been a great deal of work put into this mod, but the lack of story is underwhelming. From a gameplay standpoint, it's totally playable. It has a beginning and an end. There's obstacles to navigate and enemies to kill. But the whole time this is happening, I don't even know who I'm playing, where am I going, and what has even happened. It's like playing the beginning of Half-Life without even knowing the resonance cascade has happened. Ultimately, we have to remember this is in beta. However, mods this far along in development typically don't change very much. We'll be keeping an eye on Wilson Chronicles. Hopefully the folks at the Wilson Chronicles dev team take their fans' criticism well and mold this mod into a masterpiece. If you like seeing mod reviews, you can support me for free by subscribing, and in the future I'll be able to offer more reviews on mods, new and old. Until next time, this is Dead Rockstar from Mod Informer, and why should we play new games when we have mods?